Our guest today is Ronald Bilak. Ronald is a former US Air Force. What was your title, Ronald? What was your rank, sir?
I was a master sergeant, and the title was Superintendent Inspector General. Second bomb wing on Barksdale Air Force Base.
Right. So you were essentially responsible for keeping the I's dotted and the T's crossed to make sure that everything was proper in the bomb wing. And when we use the word bomb, Barksdale Air Force Base neither confirm nor deny that they have nuclear weapons. Are you aware if they had nuclear weapons at Barksdale Air Force Base?
I'm not going to say whether, I'm going to go with exactly what you said, but I think if you read Annie Jacobson's book, it talks about nuclear war and what base would be the first one taken out. So I think we'll just leave it at that.
No worries. So you've served 20 years in the US Air
Yep.
Force, and you came out with a meritorious service medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, and you were cited as an outstanding airman of the year. So the Air Force clearly trusted you. You're somebody who was given a good senior role. You were entrusted with responsibilities. And here's what you saw. So let's build the scene. Barksdale Air Force Base has been, of course, the scene in the last few weeks. So there's been an acknowledgement, an official acknowledgement, that counter-drone technology has failed to bring whatever these objects are down. And there's been persistent reports of alleged swarms of drones. The word drones has been used by the Defence Department, not us. I would prefer objects, swarms of objects over the base in the last few weeks. Now, as you'll hear from Ronald, he was filming or photographing in late March, and he happened to capture images then. But more importantly, what Ron has seen in a period of time over the base is also extremely important, going right back to the beginning of the so-called drones flap, the New Jersey so-called drones flap. Remember, Barksdale Air Force Base is in Shreveport, Louisiana, a long, long way away from New Jersey. And I think what Ron has to say here is very, very important. Take me back to December 2024.
Sure.
You saw what you've sent to me a video of, anomalous looking objects.
What I saw first, and, when I'd heard about the New Jersey thing, I was like, okay, if there's going to be a drone flap, Barksdale's going to be involved. And I saw, and working with somebody else, that we both know, there were multiple reports of other bases. And I just decided that, hey, unlike everybody else, I had the camera ready. I had my phone camera ready. The first thing I caught was a giant object that you saw that was probably 75 feet off the ground, which was very concerning to me. This was a triangular object, probably 15 feet, if not more. Didn't make a noise, nothing. And again, it had to have flown since it flew over my house, which is maybe a mile from the west gate, and from the back side of the base, it had to have flown directly over it, which, as you know, is an FAA violation. 20 minutes later, I seen objects, Ross, there's no way to describe these objects as anything that I've ever seen in flight pattern before. They flashed, they moved left to right, they moved up and down so quick that I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I saw 3 of them. And I've never seen anything like that before. They were outside the area of the base. They were across from the west gate and across the river in the Shreveport area. And again, I watched them for 3 to 4 minutes there. I filmed them. You see what I saw. I don't know what I've seen. I'm not going to say, but never seen anything like it.
And so this is the video that is dated the 23rd of December, 2024. Is that correct?
That's probably when I uploaded it. Yeah, because at first I had other people look at it because, again, I didn't believe what I was seeing.
So clearly what you see there in that video, Ronald, are objects that 1 minute they're in one position of the sky, they blink, and then they're literally instantaneously in another portion of the sky. Do you agree with my analysis there?
Absolutely, Ross. I was stunned. I'm like, I'm not believing what I'm seeing because there's no way possible. You talked about, Lou and the five observables, and I'm going, what is this? This makes no sense to me. None.
So let's go through that. The five
Mhm.
observables, one of the things they include is instantaneous velocity. Did you see instantaneous velocity?
Yes, because like they're left, they're right, they're up, they're down. That's not possible. I'm looking at something that's not possible. The good thing is I captured it, so people can see it.
The other thing is hypersonic velocity. Did you see hypersonic velocity?
I, I I would have to say yes because there's no other way they could move that way. When they blinked, for when they blinked, you could see something was there. It's hard to explain, but it's like you could see after the blink there was a solid object behind that blink, and then there were three of them, and they moved in ways that you just can't possibly move. You can't.
One of the other
So
factors with the five observables is stealth. Did you see them disguise themselves and then literally disappear and then reappear?
yeah, that's how you'd have to explain it because once they moved, once they blinked, then they were somewhere else instantaneously. There was no, so where did they go? How did they get to where they were? I don't know. I just don't know.
So one of the other characteristics of the five observables is uh, no visible means of propulsion, demonstrating perhaps the capacity for anti-gravitic propulsion. Did you see any propellers? Did you hear any noise of jets or
No
turbines?
noise. No noise, no propellers, no chemtrail, no exhaust, no nothing. Nothing at all.
Could they have been balloons?
No, 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 and it wasn't swamp gas either. So yeah,
um, were there witnesses with you, Ronald? Did other people
no,
see what you saw?
not at my house, but yes, there were other people that I discovered online on X, and that one Reddit that I sent you. You'll see a triangular formation with three of them, which is also amazing.
I mean, obviously, at the time in December of 2024, I think you were still working at the base. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you ever see the objects from within the base while you were working at
No,
the
I did
base?
not. I believe that, looking back now, I believe it was a probe of the outside the perimeter. That's what makes the most sense. Now, where there's no, the seas, there's no sea, there's no ocean, there's nothing near us. If you look at the Bossier area, we're in the upper northwest quadrant of Louisiana. In fact, close to Texas border. There's nothing, where are they coming from? I don't know. I don't know.
When you were back on the base after the December 23rd posting that you put up on YouTube that we're showing, was there any discussion about the objects that have been seen over the base amongst the staff at the base?
Not that I'm aware of, but I was not. My position really wasn't within a command structure at that time. So, but no, not anything that I had heard. I sent you the one Facebook comment of a person who claims he went to the West Gate with information and wasn't friendly told that hey, this is great. In fact, was told you know we don't. Yeah, so the stigma still appeared to be there for at least that person. So
Okay, well let's be very strict with you, Ron, and I
mhm.
really appreciate you putting yourself up for cross examination.
No,
Is it
it's quite all
is it
right.
is it possible you're confused? Is it possible what you saw were conventional drones probing the surrounds of the base? We've had similar reports from Eglin Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base, and other Air Force bases right across the United States of so called drones, advanced drones. Do you think what you saw were drones?
No, I don't, just because of the way they moved. Secondly, the area Shreveport, no, I just don't see that as being somewhere where there would be a drone like invasion type of thing. No, I just don't. But then, I don't know that. I can't, you know, but it just wouldn't make sense to me. But
Right.
and again, they would have to be not only in Shreveport, they would have to be entirely to the east of us to Ruston and Monroe. So you're talking somebody covering 60, 70, 80 miles. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Inside the base in the period between, when did you leave the Air Force, Ron?
I left my contracting position in 1 April of 25. That was the last time I was on base working.
Right. So a bit over 6 months ago. Actually,
Yeah,
more than 6 months
no,
ago. Yeah.
a year ago,
Yeah, it's a year ago. Yeah, yeah, it's a
a
year
year
ago.
ago. Yeah.
So in the year since, you've been working at an arena as a security
Mhm.
officer just across the road from the base.
Correct.
Have you
That is
seen
correct.
other anomalous objects during your period as a security officer at the arena?
Just the like I said, I'd come back from Las Vegas, and they were talking about the base being shut down for a drone situation, and that's when I looked over my backyard, which would be towards the flight line of the base, and that's where I captured what I believe were conventional drones coming down. So,
So, so this is interesting. So what you've seen most recently over Barksdale Air Force Base is totally
mhm.
different from what you saw in December of 2024.
Correct. These came down in a north-south pattern, not a left or right, very slow. And yeah, they did not look like anything close to what I seen back in December of 24. Not
Did
even
you
close.
did you hear the noise of a drone, like a propeller or some kind of propulsion system?
No, no, it just was a light that just like floated down very, very gently. So totally different than what I'd seen before.
But there was no noise.
None. No.
How
Mm-mm.
far away were the objects?
Uh, my best guess would be maybe 2 miles.
So I guess it's quite likely that you wouldn't hear a low-powered drone hovering over the base 2 miles away
Correct.
from where you were standing most recently. And this
Correct.
was how recently was this that you saw?
March 21st.
Right. Has there been any public commentary at all about I mean, obviously there's been the news reports about drone swarms closing down Barksdale Air Force Base in the last few
Yeah.
weeks.
I don't know if you saw, but Senator Kennedy said that there was a unclassified briefing, Ross, where they actually have, and his words, not my words, let's make this clear. He said they possibly have two of the drones. His words, possibly. Now, I don't know how you have a report that you either have them or you don't, right? Right? And
But
if you have them and they're being sent to get fingerprints, and out of five swarms that they had, he said one of them were hobbyists.
so
How did they know that?
it does sound a bit strange because there's been no official announcement since. There's been certainly been no arrests of anyone involved in this.
No, there hasn't. And that's a federal, that if you drive on the base, when you drive on the base and you look, it has a billboard as you enter on the marquee. This is a drone free, this will be prosecuted. So, did we get the fingerprints? Is there an arrest? What's taking so long? It's
Now,
April.
Ron, I know you can't talk because of your service and your security oath about what's located on the base, but
Correct.
I'm the one that's saying that it has been acknowledged by Annie Jacobson and other reporters that Barksdale is a nuclear weapons armed base. How serious are the potential incursions either in December of 2024 or most recently in March, whether they be conventional drones or not? mysterious objects as you suggest they were back in December 2024, how serious are these kind of incursions over a base, knowing what you know about what's located there?
I think it would be the highest national security as you can get. Like in Annie's book, Barksdale's a top list for terrorism. That's a fact. There's no, it's right in there. You can read that. So the other thing I would tell you, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but do you know Speaker of the House Johnson? His home is in Benton, Louisiana. That is maybe less than an hour from the base. So you tell me, would that would that not be a concern that the Speaker of the House lives near this area? I would think it would be, but
Now, you have friends, without obviously identifying who they are, who have spoken to you with some
yes.
inside knowledge about what transpired most recently with the most recent incursions over the base. The obvious question is it's claimed by Senator Kennedy that drones were downed. What has your source told you about the attempts to use counter UAS technology?
That it was ineffective, so they were supposed to be getting more technology on the base, higher level technology.
Now,
So
I understand that the type of counter drone technology they had at the base, most uh, first off, was nets, the use of netting.
that is what I had heard. So in the netting, and that is simply like almost you're throwing a net over drones to capture them. So yeah, and
And
that did not work. Is what
that
what I had
failed.
heard.
That failed.
Now I can't confirm that, but that's what I had heard, that the netting didn't work.
Have you heard whether any techniques such as lasers or high pulse microwaves were used against these
No,
objects?
I no, I'd not. No.
So essentially, at the moment, we've got a security breach over one of the most sensitive Air Force bases in America that I will say definitely has nuclear weapons. There's a strong link between UAP activity and nuclear weapons. But irrespective of whether these most recent objects are or aren't conventional drones, the mere fact that they were able to operate over the base with apparent impunity without being able to be brought down by the authorities, that's a very grave concern.
I would assume so. And I mean, yeah, if you read Robert Hastings' book UFOs and Nukes, yeah, that's been long known. That there's a connection there. So it's not surprising that that would be like that. And yeah, I would think that any base, regardless of whether they may or may not have, it's a huge security breach. So
I guess, Ron, I guess the big question in my mind is why would the December 2024 objects, not drones, they're clearly not drones as we know them, why would they have been written off and explained by President Trump as FAA authorized research drones? Can you think of any plausible reason as to why the president would do such a thing?
none, none. Yeah, I would have no nothing to add to that one at all. I have no idea.
But you're quite clear that the objects that you saw and videoed in December of 2024 were clearly not conventional drones. They were objects that were operating far outside the conventional limitations of modern technology.
Absolutely, the proof is in the video. I mean, that's all I can say is the proof's in the video. I don't know what they were, but obviously I've never seen anything like it. So you tell me. That's the whole thing. The
Right.
video doesn't lie.
So I'm just going to go through the four links that you've sent me.
Hmm.
So there's the orbs shot by you on the 23rd of December over Barksdale Air Force Base. You shot that video.
Yep, that's me talking in it. Yep.
Yep. There's the orbs in northern Louisiana. Now that's not shot by you, but you're
No,
saying
that's a Reddit user, but it's at the same time frame, and that's in Monroe, Louisiana, which is about 70, 80 miles from here. And that's why I'm saying if this was some kind of operation. It extended from Shreveport to Monroe, and that's just not feasible to me.
Okay, so then the next video is orbs imagery posted on the 18th of December 2024 by somebody called Tiger, who goes by the handle at Perugemon. And then the final one is Deanne Falk Knighton, and credit to
Yep.
Deanne for
Yep.
the use of your imagery. I hope you don't mind. And it's the 15th of December 2024. What is it? What is significant about what Deanne has posted
She's in
here?
Ruston, which is a little bit closer. It's where Louisiana Tech is. And she's saying the exact same things that I'm saying. So, it's not just me, it's several people. The information was out there on X. You can see it and you can compare it and you can look at it.